that review is the Civil War movie by Alex Garland that just came out.
And A24.
By A24, this is their, if I'm not mistaken, like this is their first like foray into, like we covered a while back that they are trying to make more big budget, like kind of blockbuster esque movies, because they were saying like, look, it's great that we make all these like smaller films, but they don't always have like the best return on investment, and it's not sustainable if we don't do some like bigger movies that generate a bit more income.
Right. Think about how successful Everything Ever All at Once was, and that's a big sci-fi movie in a way.
But I still think like that was as big and as successful as it was, like it was still very like small budget, which like the blockbuster doesn't need to be big budget, but like when we're talking about like this movie, like,
but I think we're thinking like big ideas,
Yeah,
and this is a big idea. Right?
This is a huge idea. And I'm sure if you're listening to this or you clicked on the video, like you may have an idea of what the movie is about. If not, Civil War is a like near future vision,
alternate timeline,
kind of timeline of, in a way, of America. Not exactly sure like what time period it necessarily takes place in, but
it feels just like a modern day, to be honest.
It does feel modern day, but it does mention like Antifa and like MAGA at one part in the movie. So I was like, this seems like further down the line a little bit, there's nothing telling you that though in the movie, I guess. Sure.
Right.
But so there's a bit of an alternate history going on, and it's basically if Civil War were to happen nowadays, like how would it go about? And it's kind of following these 3 war journalists and a young up and coming like.
Yeah, I mean she's a journalist too.
Like she's a journalist, but like I think like she's never done war journalism.
She wants to be a war journalist, and she hasn't really done it yet.
And her idol is Kirsten Dunst's character,
Lee Pace. Is it Lee Pace?
No, it's like Lee, and then last name starts with an M, I think.
Yeah, I can't totally remember. I remember Lee.
I remember Lee. So, so anyways, like Alex Garland, he made one of my favorite movies, which is Ex Machina, Annihilation Men, Devs, wrote 28 Days Later, and I before getting into like spoilers, I'll say, in terms of Alex Garland movies, this is right underneath Ex Machina for me. It's my favorite.
I don't think I would have said it was as good as Ex Machina.
But I think it's much better than like most of his other work. Okay. I believe.
I'd have to give you the benefit of that on that.
Sure. Yeah. But but anyways, just going into the movie. So I've heard some people put this in their category of, amazing movie, but don't ever want to watch it again.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, and
it's so funny.
I understand why.
When I walked out of the theater, the woman behind me was a middle-aged woman. She was like, "That was very upsetting. I didn't like that at all." And I was like, "Okay, all right."
I mean, it is. I mean, it's an intense, visceral. But what were you
expecting, really? I mean, it's a rated R. Like, you're gonna be upset at some point in this movie,
Right. So, I think, and I understand, like to a certain extent, like I don't think I was prepared for how intense the movie was going to be at some points, because
it was really intense. Yeah.
At some points it's intense for the just like there's tension, there was uncertainty, there was a lot of like things could happen for whatever reason at any point. And then there was other points where it was more like a Zero Dark 30, where it was intense from there's guns going off and war and like we're really in it, and you can feel how claustrophobic and like pinned down. And so I think I would watch it again. I'm not necessarily gonna like say I'm gonna rush back into the theater to see it, because it is quite a intense movie. but I would definitely want to see it again. And I thought it was great. It was just a lot.
I want to see it again. I mean, and it's for reasons that I'll get into like later into like a more spoiler territory. But there's just parts of the story that like I really need to like see again. I feel without getting the spoilers. But yeah, I personally loved like the four main, like that group was incredible. I thought they were all great
chemistry.
Gosh, I wish I had looked up the actor's name who was I recognize him from like the first Dune.
I think his name's like William McKinley, I think. But
he was amazing.
Yeah.
The male actor who was like next to Lee the whole time. I mean, he was incredible.
Oh yeah, he was great. So you have Wagner Moura, who played Joel, which was guy like her driver, her like companion, Lee's companion. And then Stephen McKinley, who played Sammy.
Yeah. Okay.
Who was the older black guy that was joining them. All the three adults.
I mean, there's four adults.
Sorry. Well, yeah. Sorry. She is
She's
an adult.
23.
Sorry. She is. The only reason I say that is because I understand in the movie she's 23. I just thought she looked so young that at times, like I could have easily like mistaken her for like a 17-year-old.
It's funny. Like I saw this with my dad, and he was like, "Is she like 15 or something?" Like, what's going on?
She looked really young. She
did.
Here on like on the IMDb, like she looks like 23. I don't know. Like she looks older. But I without spoilers, like the leads were great. All the most notably one, main person who was like kind of like a character who shows up in the middle of the movie was great and intense. Kirsten Dunst, I think
she was
great. Her performance, minus like maybe one part that wasn't her fault. It was like a writing choice that I thought was a little strange. But she was really great, and I was like, I haven't seen Kirsten Dunst like this before, so it was cool.
All of them just had such great emotional reactions throughout the movie. Really made you believe everything that was going on. Just like really grounded the whole thing. So props to them, absolutely. And then the soundtrack I thought was great. Really a lot of great like melancholic music. I think what's so refreshing for me with this movie is that like the sound was just done so much better than like coming from like the Godzilla vs. X Kong. Like there were points where like you would have a hard cut to like a war moment, and like you would just be pounded with like the bullets, and like you just felt like you were there in it like immediately, and you're like, whoa, okay, this is really well done. I regarding the music, I'm kind of glad you brought that up. I mean, I always think about it, but I know like not everybody does, but the sound, like the music choices were really cool. Like when they start off in New York, I really, when the first song that they play is by a band called Silver Apples, which is this like a duo from the 1960s, 1970s when the Vietnam war was going on, and they were like this part of like New York that was like making music that was like kind of against the war, but they were like this experimental outfit, but they were a big like part of like they would play during protests and whatnot. So it was like very cool to like see like that music being played at that point. And then they end the movie with Dream Baby Dream by Suicide, and I had forgotten until I listened to it last night that the beginning of that song, they don't play it in the movie, but the beginning of that song is like kind of, the singer is almost joking like, and like being kind of like nasty about the fact that like you think that it can't happen over here, but it can.
but like at least you got your dreams. Like we can just dream, it won't happen. And so
Right.
the starts singing like Dream Baby Dream.
Mm.
And it's like this melancholic, but also like it's like, yeah, just keep dreaming that it will never happen over here. And that's how they choose to end the movie. And I thought that was really like, I thought that was like really well placed, and it makes me like think about that in a different way. And then lastly, there's one like motif of like this guitar song that plays throughout the movie that has like this Americana. I don't know if it was like written for the movie or if it was just a song that they found.
Right, they pulled some chord out of it. Right.
But like it was they would play like this guitar music throughout, and it was like Americana, and it would go from like these like country kind of like notes, and then it would get into like these dissonant, like tense notes, and it go back into like this emotional bit, and it was all like the same song. And I thought it just fit the movie really well. Like I was constantly like, yeah, it was a great vibe. They made some really great choices, even points where I was like, that's weird that they're playing like a what's that fucking what's that hip hop group that they play in the movie?
It's not De La Soul, is it?
No, it's not De La Soul, but it's A Tribe Called Quest. Oh, okay, they play like a Tribe Called Quest song. Yeah. At this very like dark.
No, yeah, well, you didn't expect it.
And I was like, after a second, I was like, whoa, that's jarring. And then I was like, but I kind of think I get it. And there's parts of the movie where like people were laughing, and like I was like, like, oh, it is funny. Like it is funny, but like
there are points that are funny, right?
Am I like taking this movie too seriously, or is it like supposed to be funny? Like there were points where I was like,
it's right, yeah. I don't think you're meant to take this as a comedy at all. I think there's just funny moments, just because some characters are funny, I'm glad you meticulated the music better than I could.
I'm just ranting about the music.
No, I appreciate it though. You nailed it. But yeah, I want to get into some more spoilers.
Let's go into spoilers.
So yeah, I think it's easily what makes the movie to me is the journey of like Lee's character and is it Jesse, the younger character, the mentor that she mentors. This movie, and I will say it's not what I was expecting in a way, because like if you remember, they released this map of the United States and how like it was split up into these 4 different alliances, and that didn't really seem to matter at all. Like it really never came into play.
I think a little bit, but I think not in the way that maybe we like.
I don't know if I remember any, like it was just like the main United States and then the Western forces. Like I don't remember them ever talking about like the Florida Alliance or like whatever the other one was. I don't know. It doesn't bother me that they weren't, because like the real story of this movie is Lee, right? It's about Lee and how she is like changing because of this war and this woman she's mentoring. And I guess also the journey that she goes on throughout this movie changes her. And I think that like the whole like basically final act where they're in DC is such like a beautiful representation of how like both of them changed so much throughout this journey, where like Jesse wasn't afraid of anything at this point in the movie, whereas like Lee had pretty much gained all of her humanity back. It was like really beautiful to see. And then like it fully like encapsulates it all in this moment at the end where like Lee sacrifices herself for Jesse. And, it's like the full symbolization that she's gained her humanity back while Jesse's like literally taking the photos of her while she's dying. Yeah. It's like they fully swap places by the end of the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think
it was really well done.
I agree with everything you're saying. I think the only thing that I didn't like is I don't feel like I saw enough of that change with Lee to warrant the to warrant how she was behaving when they got into DC. Like, I felt like there was almost like this big twist in her character where like all of a sudden now she's just
but I think what really did it for me, like what really changed her was Sammy dying. Like, I think like when she deleted like the photo of Sammy, I think that was the turn in her character where she's like, this was like my friend and somebody I really looked up to. And like, I can't use this photo of him as I don't know, like art, a message, whatever you want to call it. And I think she might have realized that like all of these people she's been taking photos of have this story as well. And it's like, I think she just gained so much of her humanity back, like in that moment. Where yeah, it might seem like a drastic change, but I think it really sparked it with Sammy's death.
Yeah. I think you're right. I just think I would have liked to have seen a bit more. It is all, but sure. I think you're right. Like, I do believe like those were the catalysts for the change. I just thought it could have been done a little bit better, because I just thought it was a little strange. Like, she just started like
so abrupt, right?
Yeah. But that was really it. But like what you're saying, like with the different factions, they don't really matter. It's just kind of world building. Right. It's kind of
for sure.
You know, like even Sammy says, like, you know, like even if they do win, you know, the Western forces win, like nobody's gonna know what to do. Like, people aren't gonna talk to each other.
The alliances are gonna turn on themselves. Right?
Yeah. And I was like, I could totally see that. And, you know, when we get to this fucking Winter Wonderland, like car, you know, Christmas kind of like car tour, we find these two guys who are sniping this guy in a house. And Joel's like, what side are you on? And he's like, we're just shooting at somebody who's trying to kill us.
Somebody's trying to kill us, so we're trying to kill them. And that's really what America boiled down to at a certain point, you know? And like, basically maniacs were allowed to roam free and kill whoever they wanted.
Yeah, like those guys at the gas station that they first run into.
You know what? And you mentioned world building too. Like they did it with those guys at the gas station and like a few other times in the movie where they just dropped a piece of information like, oh, you know, like at the gas station, they were like, oh, $300 is only going to get you like a sandwich. And she's like, well, 300 Canadian, you know, was that going to get me what I need? And so like clearly saying like the value of the American dollar is plummeted.
Astronomically plummeted.
Right. They dropped the fact that like the president ran for a third term and got it, that he abolished the FBI. I just think like that sound
a little close to home.
Yeah. Yeah, it does. But like, I think like not just giving it all to us at once and allowing us to like learn about the world like through the movie was really great. I think it's just the way to do it. Yeah. There wasn't like a big exposition dump. No. You were pretty much thrown right into the beginning of it.
Yeah. You just like learned everything pretty,
end, I guess you say, through
like conversations, and it was, and it didn't make you feel like you were dumb, I guess.
Right.
You know?
Right. Exactly. So a complaint, and it's not like a huge complaint I have with the movie. I think I would have maybe preferred somebody different for the president. I think like Nick Offerman was fine. I think he was like a fine president, but like, you know who Nick Offerman is. He usually plays a comedic character. Yes, he's played serious characters before, but it's I think it would have done well to like give me like a face I can like hate, because like at the end you're made to believe he's this like pathetic, like squirming president, this man, you know, shrivel of a man. And then Nick Offerman doesn't scream that to me, but you know, like he was a fine choice. You know, I don't hate it, but it's not who I would have necessarily wanted.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah. I liked him as the president. I like, because to me, if he had played it more like like screaming and like pathetic. Like I think it would be.
No, I don't have a problem with how he played it. I just think it's because he's such like a well-known face to me that it's like I would have wanted just an actor who I didn't know. I guess is what I'm saying.
Okay,
you know?
I don't know. I thought he did a great job. Like I totally believed him as the president.
Sure. I'm not saying he did a bad job. I'm just saying, I would have preferred
nitpicking.
Yeah, I'm right. There's not much for me to nitpick in this movie because I really do think so much of it's done so well. You know, like. I really don't have that many complaints.
Yeah, I mean, and most notably, I think the most there's a couple moments that I think I'll think about quite regularly, and one is at the beginning of the movie where this woman just suicide bombs running with an American flag into a group of people.
Yeah,
and then the other is just the build up to Jesse Plemons' character, where we have this.
Talk about that yet? Yeah,
we have this car just speeding at
scares the hell out of you,
and it's scaring the fuck out of you. Tires are squealing. They're like almost running off the road, and you find out that it's like friends, Joel's friend, and then this fucking dude just like starts stressing me the fuck out trying to get into the other car. And then Jesse's like, no, I'm going to do it. And
I was like, what are you doing, Jesse? Like,
so much tension. Then he speeds off. They can't find him.
Right.
And then, they find the car. The doors are both open. We see that they're taken with Jesse Plemons' character, who I don't know if I've seen Jesse Plemons be more terrifying. Like out of all the roles that he's played, which is including Todd. I was like, Todd's
a good
from Breaking Bad
rival to that.
Like he is, but there was now if we had gotten to learn more about his character, like he definitely is somebody who I don't think is as crazy as some other characters that he's played. But I think with the short information of like, look, if you're not from America, you die instantly.
Right.
Like if
like, you are, you might die,
like you could die, you could be annoying, but like, I think his main thing was like, I don't necessarily care who you are, like what you believe in. He's like, you just need to be American. But you didn't know that's what he because the whole time you just didn't know what he was about.
Right. You were like, oh, well, is he a part of is he part of the Western forces? And then he's not a part of that, he's going to shoot?
He was just like, what kind of American are you? Yeah. It's like, where are you from? And
I couldn't believe that their friend didn't lie. The Joel's friend, like he just straight up was just like, yeah, I'm from Hong Kong. I was like, dude, you got to read the room right now. Like he's going to shoot you if you say something that's not US. So yeah. I
mean, and just like how he's like, oh, that guy is your friend. Bam.
Gosh. Yeah. All the gunshots in this movie were just so like just hit you right in the chest, Yeah. It was such a great sound work, honestly. But and then you had Sammy come out of nowhere and just murder these guys, which was incredible. I love that. Didn't expect it.
And then you just see Jesse over this
oh my gosh,
like pool of bodies.
That's got to be what finally snapped her into not having like humanity, right? I mean, like I don't know, maybe that wasn't it, but like that's got to break you on some level of just laying with recently killed humans. Yeah. Yeah, a lot of really dark scenes in this movie. Really gritty, real movie,
Like even on top of all of the darkness, like all the like camp scenes and
we're really
going
great,
in the car together. Like they have nice a lot moments. Of nice human,
right?
Like build like they're building like friendships. They're getting along with each other. Like there is joy
for sure,
but at the same time, like it's immediately like juxtaposed by
by the world
like,
they're living in.
you know, like they, and also I just, it makes me think so much differently about like, oh, like you see a photo on your phone of like a war going on, but you're like, oh, that's happening. But I don't even think about the fact that somebody had to be there to take the photo.
Right.
And
to view it, to witness it. Right.
I'm like the moral questions of that, like Lee's character had been dealing with, of you don't intervene, you just take the photo. Like people are literally getting their photos taken while they're being
dying,
while they're dying,
being shot at. Right.
You're there. You're like, it's such a morally gray place to be in, and like it's important, but it's also like I can't imagine how that would affect somebody,
right?
And like you have somebody like Joel who's like fucking getting turned on by it all,
right? Because he knows that's where the money shot is, right? You know.
So I don't know. There's a lot of human, like a lot of serious human emotions and ideas and just. I don't know, like on top of it being like a kind of like a cautionary tale and kind of like a what if situation, I feel like it was even more so, I don't know, like a story about what it means to, like with a lot of movies, but like what it means to be human and like what's important and I don't know. It's kind of hard. Like I saw the movie like Thursday, and I'm still thinking about what exactly I'm supposed to take away from it. But it's not nothing. It's just like these are important things to think about, and how I think at the end of it all, it was like, look how bad all of this is, and for this to be going on anywhere. You know, it's like, you know, you have people who are like completely avoiding that it's even going on in the movie, you know,
which is so like typical American in a sense, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, but yeah, I agree. This movie just hits you hard. And it's a great journey.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah. I loved it.
Yeah.